Sootopolis City is probably my favorite town in the Hoenn region. One of the final major locations you'll reach in your journey, it serves as the ultimate set piece to one of the biggest battles in Pokemon. So if you've been around the channel for a while, you'll be familiar with the Hoenn region and how it's a celebration of nature, with the ways in which people live among it, yada yada yada, all that stuff I mentioned before. Making basically the entire latter half of the game area that you need to surf across the water to reach is unprecedented. Even nowadays we don't really see that. Sure, there is a big ship that allows you to travel these long distances, but when you're just starting out, it's all up to you. And on top of that, in order to reach Sootopolis, you don't just need surf, you need dive to find the other water passageway. When you finally do reach Sootopolis City, it almost feels like you've come across the hidden paradise that only the elite are allowed to enter. I mean, I'm surprised they get any visitors at all, given how much is needed to actually find it. The entire city is built within a massive crater in the middle of the ocean. In the original games, it was formed by an underwater volcano, while in the remakes, a meteorite was the cause of the crater. But those beautiful white rocks surrounding the entire settlement give it this otherworldly feeling that's unlike any of the other tropical locations in Hoenn. The design of the buildings and the way in which they're basically right on the edge of the water seems very Greek inspired, and the music is probably my favorite part about Sootopolis. Again, another thing several of you might know if you've been watching for a while. It just has this calming and beautiful feeling that makes the whole place come across as the paradise it's intended to be. Though my first time around, I didn't really take the time to explore and talk with some of the NPCs, because at the point in the story you finally get here, you're in the middle of finding and taking down Team Aqua or Team Magma, and there isn't too much that's immediately important, but a lot of the residents will comment on how out of the way the city is and how much it takes to simply get here and walk around. This poor little guy can't even find his house. This one woman will give you a Whalmer doll for traveling so far to get here. There's also this house with two competitive brothers who want to see either a really big Barboach or a really big Shroomish. And that really works here because both of those Pokemon are found on the complete opposite end of the region. The most notable NPC here is Kiri, named after Junichi Masuda's daughter, who was born right before the release of Ruby and Sapphire. She'll give you 2 berries every day, making her someone you're likely to visit often in the post-game. That is really sweet. And then we can also pick up the TM for Brick Break, a very useful move. But actually, a good number of the other NPCs will give you some hints about where the story will be going from here, as well as the history of Sootopolis. For one thing, this couple tells you about stories of underwater treasures, which is a way to get the player to continue exploring underwater to eventually find the evil team's hideout, where they awaken one of the legendary Pokemon. This one old man tells you the history of how Sootopolis came to be, again that being a volcano in the original games. And the lore just continues building from here. This older woman talks about Mount Pyre, asking if we know about it. And yes, we do know this is where the red and blue orbs are resting, foreshadowing how eventually the legendary Pokemon will make their way here to Sootopolis. This woman speculates that the cave entrance of Sootopolis was either made to keep something in or keep something out. Oh, if only you knew the truth. The younger researcher says that there appears to be a connection between Sootopolis and Mount Pyre. And finally, the elder standing outside says that all life begins at the Cave of Origin and it all ends on Mount Pyre. That is extremely interesting, powerful even. Such a cool idea to connect these two locations, which we already knew were connected to a degree, but it wasn't until I recently replayed these games and actually read the dialogue did it all make sense and work out. And it's symbolic even with how the orbs that basically seal Groudon and Kyogre are kept at the final resting place of so many other Pokemon. The orbs being here are effectively their graves. And when they were awoken by Team Aqua or Team Magma, the first thing they did was make their way to the Cave of Origin, where they probably came from, and it might have been the only thing they'd been thinking about while sleeping for so long. Of course, they end up causing trouble, unleashing extreme weather, and in the case of Emerald version, they were both woken up and ran into each other on the way to the Cave of Origin, and thus a big battle ensued. And of course, we all know how that story ends. We had to go tell on them to Rayquaza, who broke up the fight. But yeah, I think it was a great idea to change things up in this way for the alternate version that brings everything together. Sootopolis City housing the Cave of Origin works a lot better because here it's a battle that was basically destined to happen. Though I wonder what Groudon was thinking challenging Kyogre to a fight in the middle of the water. And aside from the gym battle against the final leader of the Pokemon League, that being either Wallace or Juan, depending on which game you're playing, that's about all there is in Sootopolis City. After replaying some of the Hoenn games pretty recently, I was able to get a much better appreciation for a lot of the other aspects, though I feel like I always had the same level of enjoyment when it came to Sootopolis City, because it just became so ingrained in me from the very first time I played through the games. Legitimately, this music is a theme that I constantly hear in my head and feel in my soul. I think there are many other cool places throughout the Pokemon world, and I wouldn't say I would live in Sootopolis if I could, but to me it was always a symbol of how I as a player saved the world and got to enjoy myself in a place many others couldn't, at least in the context of the story. So it's kinda like one of my many vacation destinations with some really good memories. And taking a bit of a deeper look into the little interactions here, I would still say it's one of my favorites. So let me know what you think in the comments below and which city in the Hoenn region is your favorite. Anyway, I should get back to enjoying my weekend as we wrap up the summer season. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the great Gators, Tyler Hopper, Jake Brody, GigaWiiU64, Isabella Lawrence, Alive R360, Nani, The Shoeman, Copybot, Master, Chaosform02, Alex Switch Shiny Hunter, Lockadox, Michael Snyder, Koi13, Cemetery Hill, Pastel Blood, Cosmo Zero, Rainfrux, Cheesit62, GatorKid509, TF, Mathaclog947, Taijirai, Justin R, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, and sometimes early videos, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
Two powerful teams, only one will rule the planet. Introducing 95 new cards with Pokemon E-Trading Card Game EX Team Magma versus Team Aqua. Whose side are you on? Let the battle begin. Booster Pack sold separately.